Melvin, you know, when we're stressing education and doing your homework and these kind of things, and then you have a political movement that's coming right behind the people that we're trying to get educated, and they're changing the stories. And for example, with slavery, is viewed as like a slave is a bottle of pop. You know, here's a black for sale, here's a bottle of Coke. And they're not showing what would happen to blacks. You know, babies being cut out, women being killed, men being captured, whatever the case is. I love America, and I think that all of you should have ties like mine. But I think a healthy discussion on this is important, because that's why we need more folks from Fort Wayne to partake in these discussions. You know, but what do you think about that? You know, how do you still love America in spite of what's going on around us in front of our faces?
Well, you know, real short, I don't have to give an account of what you think about me. I have to give an account of what I think about Eric. It was my experience in Fort Wayne. It was a mixed bag. Fort Wayne was good to me. I learned a lot of things. But the struggle, I think, from what I see, I've only been here for a couple of days now, it's pretty much still a struggle. And just let me give you an example. I drove around Fort Wayne last night and actually got lost on Rudisill and didn't know all the stuff was there. But I stopped at the YMCA, and the YMCA was very good to Melvin and his family. And I had a conversation with a young lady, and she told me about a new YMCA that was being renovated over on the south side of Fort Wayne. And it brought sweet music to my ears. I was excited about that. But before we concluded the conversation, I stepped back and I thought, wait. I seen a corking, what is it? The corking
liquor stores.
The liquor stores. I seen one on this corner, one on that corner, one on this corner, and one on that corner. I just left Detroit. I thought, now I'm not in Detroit, I'm in Fort Wayne. So they give a community a YMCA. I think the greatest things is Christmas cookies. But some of the same folks are locking a community environment into alcohol. So, you know, when we talk about, you know, what we've been called, my God, I was raised in the 40s, so I've been called a lot of things as it relates to a black person. But I can never forget my grandfather plowing a mule, and the mule does its business, and my grandfather, he's got to step in this stuff. We need to get really, really fed up with stepping in stuff, and I think that's what we do. Everything starts at the home, brothers. That's just the way it is. It can be good, bad, or ugly. All of it starts at the home. And if we're not better men in our home, or the best men we can be in our home, and all is not going to go with the peaches and the cake and that kind of stuff. That's Southern, okay? But do the very best you can, because it all starts in the home. So nothing will happen until we come together and we understand that we're not going to solve all these problems we talked about tonight. The president, I love the president. And I've been upset with him, a little frustrated with him now, because I think he needs to drive it home. I think he needs to just drive it home. He's the president of the United States, and he's going to be that. And hey, if you disapprove of the person, you will go into the polls. Okay? So, you know, we'll get him out of there. But there's so many problems, and when I look at Fort Wayne, I see a lot of good things. Kenai building, some houses on Smith Street or John or whatever those streets. I see a lot of good things.
I think one of the things that happened was that Brother Tamir talked about sometimes we don't have solutions, and I wanted to say this. I know we only got a couple of minutes. I want to leave some time for, you know, other closing statements, but I maintain that immediately, every time you look at a Republican administration, when they come in, they have their first 100 days of the things that they want to accomplish. They get on that streak, and they get on it with a bulldog grip. one of the things that I saw was Timothy Geithner, who was the Treasury Secretary for Bush. I saw Robert Gates, who was also, you know, the Chief of Staff or the headed up the military for Bush. I started really questioning whether or not I was seeing anything different. I called it, you know, the name and the faces changed slightly, but the game was still the same.
Right.
What happened was that when that $787 billion went back to the same corporations who had raped, robbed, and pilfered from us, the little folks, and stole from us and broke the back of this economy under the 8 years of the Bush administration, and then you took the same Treasury Secretary, the head of the Federal Reserve, and made him the head of your financial welfare, that caused me to have some serious issues. And one of the things that I ended up saying is I thought that $787 billion, almost $1 trillion, could have been equally divided amongst every tax-paying person, and we would have had a check in the mail for $140,000. That would have immediately revived us pretty quickly. And then the next thing that I ended up saying is we could have had one small thing that could have occurred, and that could have actually ended up being a thing where we could have actually ended up having the National Debt Reduction Act, where everybody could have actually gotten reprieve from any kind of debt, because we've given debt relief to foreign nations all over the country. How come we can't get debt relief from the country, from the banks that put us in it in many cases through the fraudulent loans?
That would be another show. So I want to have give a moment to Tamir here real quick.
I think you have a phone call.
All right, quick, real here.
Okay. I think in many ways we have to admit the fact that our present situation is not working. And as an African American community, the reality is that we are not working for ourselves.
That's right.
You brought up the issue of economics. We don't have African American people are in some of the highest paying positions in this country. We don't have necessarily a problem as far as economics are concerned. It's what we do with the money that we have.
That's right.
So what I'm suggesting is that if there is indeed leadership in the African American community, pardon me, to some degree it appears to be barren, and at best I would say that it is ineffective. Again, we are people who have so many issues, and these issues that we have imprisoned us. And we are in a state of arrested development. We need vision for the future, but understand that no vision for the future can work. Okay, you.
Yeah, hold it. Caller, real quick.
Yeah, well, this is Troy once again. Malachi Joshua brought up a point that I was just holding on for, but in the stimulus package, if we were going to buy GM, just GM itself, if the people were buying GM, why didn't we receive any stock? I mean, if we're talking about getting out of debt, and debt is one of the main things, why not give every family $1 million, and everything would have been fine and dandy. But just what do you think about that?
All right. Well, unfortunately, we won't have time.
Good point, bro.
To go on that. Tamir, you know, we're going to have you all back on the show here again because the subject is a little bit more thicker than what I had thought. Go ahead, real quick.
Putting money, in the hands of foolish people. What I'm saying is that economics or money is not the solve-all for our community. Wow. Because putting money into the hands of a foolish person, then that money will not be used in a constructive way. And in a few days, we will find ourselves in the same situation.
And I hate shutting you down. But, you know, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. It went by a little bit faster than what we had planned. We needed more phone calls, but I was blessed to have these three great dialogue people here with me. I hope you enjoy the show. When I invite folks to be on the show, please show up. And if you're here at the time that I ask you to be here, that would be a good thing so that we can have our chairs and the whole thing, everybody here in the studio. We're going to be doing more studio shows here, but we got to get audiences out here. So when I ask you to come out, please show up. Thank you all for watching tonight's show. Good night, and God bless you. I apologize.